Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you. A very jolly welcome to all of you, in fact. So today I'm going to tell you the story of Santa Claus and a few very interesting stories about Christmas traditions, and then we'll do a really nice fun activity. So, the story of Santa Claus actually starts with this little boy called Nicholas, who was born many hundreds of years ago in a little port town called Myra in Greece at that time, which in present day is Turkey. And this little boy was born in a very rich family. Sadly, he lost his parents at a very young age, and young Nicholas was known to be a very kind and generous boy, always ready to help anyone in need and especially the poor. Now, there's a very interesting story about Nicholas and three sisters. So, there were these three sisters who were very poor. Their father didn't have enough money to pay for their dowry, and these little girls used to take their stockings at night. They had just a single pair each, wash them, and leave them near the fireplace to dry and wear them the next morning. So Nicholas thought of helping them in his own secret way. He climbed up a ladder and went to their chimney and put 3 bags of coins on 3 consecutive nights through the chimney. And the family could be helped. The man was able to marry his 3 daughters and no one came to know. So a little bit of a secret Santa right when he was a young boy. And as he grew older, he was loved by kids. Wherever he went, kids followed him, they wanted to be around him, and later he decided to join the church. So he became the bishop of his town of Myra, and here you can see him wearing his red and white robes. And in fact, I think even now bishops in churches still wear red and white robes. And here was Bishop Nicholas hanging out with his kids and having fun with them. Now, there is a miracle which was also attributed to Nicholas. So, there's a story that there were these sailors who were out at sea and there was a huge storm. And they prayed to Nicholas, save our lives, we are going to die here. And suddenly, the storm stopped and there was complete calm. And therefore, they said that he was not just Bishop Nicholas anymore, he was a saint. And this here is a picture of Saint Nicholas. He became the patron saint of sailors, all people at sea, children because he loved kids and they loved him. And also, if you know, he's also the patron saint of students all around the world. So for those of us who don't know, patron saints in Christianity are actually protectors. So he is a protector for sailors and he is a protector for kids. Now if you see earliest pictures of Saint Nicholas, since he was born in the Mediterranean, they used to use donkeys there. So you'll see him with this donkey carrying gifts for kids. And as Christianity and the legend of Saint Nicholas moved through Europe and right up to the North Europe, you have him here in the Netherlands sitting on a white horse with his gifts for the kids. And his name, how did it evolve? So in the Netherlands, he was called Sint Niklaas. And then they kept a nickname for him, calling him Sinterklaas. And from Sinterklaas, he became Santa Claus. And all over Europe, he had different names. So he's called Père Noël in France. In Germany and Switzerland and Ireland, they call him Christkindl. And in Britain, he's called Father Christmas. Now here I'm going to show you a picture which all of us have seen several times. Here is Santa Claus on his sleigh flying through the winter sky with his 8 reindeers, his special favorite Rudolph right at front. Now, how did he start flying in the air in the sleigh? Well, about 150 years ago, an illustrator in America called Thomas Nast came up with this idea or suggestion that, why doesn't Santa live in the North Pole? Now, the North Pole is absolute top of the world. And he said it may be very cold, but Santa likes cold and Christmas is in winter, so why doesn't he stay in the North Pole and fly about everywhere with his sleigh? Now, coming to think of it, it's actually a very nice idea. Do you think Santa in a car or a bullock cart could roam around in the snow? I don't think so. So, if you see the next picture here, here is Santa on top of someone's house. He's just landed with his sleigh. And if you ask me, why isn't he parking right in the front, in the driveway? Well, he doesn't want to be seen, remember? And why is he on the roof? Well, the windows are closed, the door is closed. What's the best way to get into the house? You guessed it, it's the chimney. And if you remember the story of Nicholas and the three sisters, he's actually used to throwing things down the chimney, isn't it? And down the chimney comes the fireplace. Now the fireplace actually has a very important role, especially in Christmas celebrations. So if you remember, kids, most of the cold countries, in winter it can get so gloomy and cold, and there's a lot of snow, right? And there were times when there was no electricity. So the fireplace was the center of the home. It's where everybody collected to celebrate Christmas together as a family. The fire is actually also a symbol of the sun in many cultures. And you see the stockings here at the fireplace. Why are they here? Well, if you remember the story of the three sisters again and Nicholas, the stockings at the fireplace, very convenient for Santa. He comes down the chimney and quickly puts the gift inside the stockings and he's done. Now in some countries, kids don't use stockings. They actually leave their boots at the windows or at the back door of the house because they think Santa's coming from there. And in certain places like Iceland, they if kids have been not so nice, they don't get any candy in their shoes. They get rotten potatoes. Oh, not so nice. Then I want to share with you another Christmas tradition of kids writing letters to Santa Claus. Now this again started around the time that Thomas Nast first made his illustration of Santa at the North Pole, and kids would write letters, post them, and the address used to be the North Pole and it would somehow reach Santa. Now there's another story which says that actually it wasn't kids that first wrote to Santa, it was Santa who wrote to their parents telling them whether their kids had been naughty or nice. And in fact, in Britain, kids don't post letters to Santa. You'll be surprised to know that sometimes they throw the letters in the fireplace where they burn up and the smoke carries up in the chimney, and children believe that the smoke will actually carry their message of what they want all the way to the North Pole to Santa. Now, this is something I did as a child. We used to go to places where there were big Christmas galas, and there were no shopping malls when I was growing up. But now even at shopping malls, you see Santa sitting there, and kids go up to Santa and whisper in his ear what it is that they want for Christmas. Now this, like many other commercial things associated with Christmas, originated in America. Large trees at malls, huge life-size Santa Clauses, and Santa sitting there all dressed for kids, all started in America. Now I am going to show you some non-Santa looking Santas. Now who's this in blue and white? This is called Father Frost. He is Russian. He is also called Ded Moroz in Russia. He goes everywhere with his granddaughter called Snegurushka. They carry these big bags of gifts for children. He doesn't give gifts to kids on Christmas Eve. He actually gives them on New Year's Eve. And do you know, we also have kind of female Santas. So this Grandma Santa is actually also from Russia. She's called Bebnuishka, and she gives gifts on the 7th of January. Now you'll ask me, why is that? Well, I'll come to that a little later. Here I have an Italian lady Santa. This is here the Befana. She flies everywhere on her broom, in Italy and give gifts to kids also around the 6th and 7th of Jan. And this little girl is actually representing Saint Lucia. So Saint Lucia is a saint. She is really revered in the Scandinavian countries, especially Sweden. And through many years, we would have young girls wearing, this crown of candles on their head and carrying trays full of food and warm drink for poor people on the roads during Christmas. And this feast of Saint Lucia happens mostly in the middle of December. And you'd ask me, why are these girls wearing candles on their head? Well, again, there was no electricity in older times, so if the girls needed to see the roads or the streets were lit, they needed some light for themselves. That's a cool idea, isn't it? Now, Christmas is celebrated pretty much all over the world in different ways. In India, what do? Well, we have Christmas Mass in churches. People go to church even on Christmas Day. We light candles, we decorate Christmas trees, we sing carols, we create the whole nativity with baby Jesus, Mary and Joseph. We eat lovely plum cakes, gingerbread houses, and of course for kids, the favorite thing is Santa coming with gifts. Now, different parts of the world celebrate Christmas in different ways. For instance, in New Zealand and Australia, people have barbecues on Christmas because there is no snow, it's quite warm. In places like the Philippines, there is a grand lantern festival. In Mexico, you will have the three wise men giving gifts to kids, not Santa, and people dressing up as Mary and Joseph and going from house to house. So many different ways to celebrate, which is probably the best known festival in the whole world. Now, I am going to share something with you which I am sure some of the parents also don't know. So, did you know that Christmas is actually not celebrated on 25th December in the entire world? Most of the world, yes, 25th December, which is all these light pale green countries including India. But if you see this darker little spot here and some countries here, which is Russia and some East European countries, they celebrate Christmas on the 7th of January. So you remember when I told you about babe Nuishka giving gifts on 7th January? That's because in Russia they celebrate it then. And why is that? Because these countries follow Orthodox Christianity, which has a different calendar for all the religious festivals. And what are these countries in red? The Middle East, China and North Africa? Well, they celebrate Christmas, but they don't really have a holiday, a special day for it. Interesting, isn't it? Now I am going to tell you about some very interesting traditions to got with the Christmas tree. Now, the Christmas tree actually originated in Germany. And in olden times, what Germans did was they used to take these evergreen trees. Evergreen trees are trees that are green. They have leaves the whole year round. And they would take conifers like fir and spruce and pine, and they would decorate them with candles and ornaments. Now, why evergreen trees? Well, evergreen trees were a source of hope. They were a symbol of long life. They were also thought of as, warding away evil spirits, keeping people's spirits high, keeping illness away. And especially in the cold winter months, they wanted to have this cheerful tree in the middle of the house. And why did they have candles? Well, candles were used to represent the twinkling stars in the sky. There was no electricity many years ago, so candles was the way to light up the tree. And if you see there are little balls here, I'll come a little later to that and tell you what these balls actually were. Now, here's a very interesting Christmas tree, also from Germany. These were called Christmas pyramids. They were woodcut sculptures. They were made with a lot of care. It used to take a long time to make one. And if you look closely, they had little dolls on each level. And these dolls were the different nativity dolls. They would keep also fruits and leaves on these Christmas trees. I bet most of you haven't seen a Christmas tree like this. And then there was this tradition of gingerbread men, women, of cookies, and one of my favorites, the gingerbread house, which all of us have heard of. Now I'm going to show you very unusual Christmas tree ornaments. So you remember when I showed you those little balls which we still use. Don't we use little plastic stars? We use balls on our Christmas trees now. So those stars are the twinkling stars from the night, which were the candles the Germans used. And what the Germans did was they used oranges and apples. They were strung together with cinnamon, with marzipan cookies, and with nuts to decorate the Christmas tree. And this here is going to come as a big shock to a lot of us because this is popcorn. Popcorn on the tree? Yes. So they used to dye popcorn in different colors and string up the popcorn with berries and decorate the tree. So everything on the tree, all the ornaments were edible. How cool is that? Imagine if we were to have our trees and not put these plastic ornaments that we put, but instead put healthy immunity boosting food on the tree. We can look at it and we can eat it too. Now, talking of eating, I am calling a very special Santa to my house on Christmas, and he is edible. This is a pancake Santa. Now, how do you make the pancake Santa? I think the little ones would love to make this. The face is the pancake, the cap and the nose are strawberry, and the hair and beard is banana. And what about his eyes? Well, those are blueberries. We can have this yummy pancake Santa with jam or with honey. A nice way to celebrate Christmas with an edible Santa. Now, some of you, in fact a lot of you, buy these expensive plastic trees, right, which we decorate for Christmas. Well, my idea to you is, why don't we buy one of these Christmas tree plants? You know, we can decorate it with ornaments, and after Christmas is done, we can use this plant somewhere in the house instead of worrying about where to pack away the Christmas tree. And this idea here is for the little ones. A lot of little ones make these beautiful Christmas tree drawings, don't they? But then they are drawings, they're not a Christmas tree. So I have an idea for you, which I saw here, is that you take a toilet roll and you make this slit down the middle, and just like this picture, you can put your drawing between the slit and make your drawing into a Christmas tree. I'm sure the little ones would love this idea. Now I want to quickly show you some really nice Christmas tree ornaments. So here there is a Christmas tree ornament made with little twigs and a cardboard spine. Here I have something made out of ice cream sticks and pom-poms. Very easy stuff which I'm sure we can do at home. And my personal favorite is this Santa handprint, which is so nice. You take your handprint on cardboard, cut it out, you can write your name at the back, the date you made it. You can make this whole little ball of jingle bells with, you know, strings. I'll show it to you. So we can just take strings and just put these bells and make it on our own. And you know, the whole tradition of making ornaments with the rest of your family, with your siblings, is so special, because as you grow up, you have all these lovely ornaments that you've made through all the years and have such lovely memories of it. Now I am going to show you the tree that I made for myself this Christmas. So this is my Christmas tree. I call it the fairy light tree. Now how did I make it? It's very easy. I bought some handmade paper from the market. This is really beautiful. It's got a nice lovely texture. I already had fairy lights from Diwali. Most of us have fairy lights lying at home, don't we? And we decorate our trees with them nowadays. And then what I did, I just took some nice stars and some nice stickers and I made this tree. It is so easy to make. And later, after Christmas is done, I am going to use it as my bedside lamp. So how do I make this tree? Let me show you. It is so easy to make. It doesn't take much time at all. So if you take a normal size chart paper, okay, if you take a normal size chart paper, I'm just giving you an idea. You fold it down the shorter edge like this, make a square and cut that piece. Then you will have a square piece, and then what you do is you draw a curve like this, and then you cut it along the curve. I've kept some margin on both the sides because it's going to be pretty much like a birthday cap, and in the end we are going to stick and finish off the birthday cap around here. Okay, so this is what I want you to do. And then how did I make the pattern? So you see this part where I had folded it, I spaced out equally spaced dots over here, and then I made some more staggered dots on both the sides. If you want, you can make patterns like a zigzag or a curved pattern over here. Like you can do a zigzag or you can do curves and put as many dots as you want if you want to put many fairy lights. I haven't used so many, but you can definitely put more fairy lights. So once I'm done with my pattern, let me show you. This is exactly like my tree. Okay, this is what I did. I took that piece of paper, I cut the curved line, and then if you see closely, I had made dots where I have now made holes. So I'll show you. After I make the dots, I take a needle and I pretty much punch in through each and every one of the holes. Now I don't want the little kids to do it because it's a little dangerous for them, so maybe the older siblings or the parents can help out with that. And then I take a pen and I make each single dot. I'll show it to you from this side. So you make each and every single dot much bigger because my fairy lights are quite big and they have to go through these holes. Okay, and then once that is done all over the sheet on all my fairy light positions, I am going to use this bunch of fairy lights and show you. So this is the part where it starts, and what we do is, I'll try and show you. I put in, just watch me, one after the other, I just put in the fairy lights. This is the second one, putting that in next, then the third one here, and so on and so forth. So I'm putting just 4 for you. See that on the other side, it's visible, and then just keep on putting them in a pattern like that. Okay, don't go zigzag and haywire because then you will make a mess of it. Just go slowly in different rows, and once all of that is done, all we need to do is to kind of make that birthday cap of ours. Okay, get this edge. So for now I'm just going to staple it because it will take a little time for me to close the entire edge. So I'll just give you an idea of how I'm going to close it. So this is my paper cap. I am going to use these are glue dots. So if I show you the glue dots, they actually look like this. You can get them in the market, and we can keep on putting these glue dots all around the edge because glue dots are very strong and this paper is very thick, so just Fevicol won't do. And then with the little gaps that you have left, you can actually use the Fevicol to kind of strengthen it even more. So once all your fairy lights are all over here, now I'll show you how to close off, because you will have wires which are literally going to be coming down the Christmas tree and you don't want that. So the best thing to do is to cut another round, which is the circumference of your Christmas tree, and we stick it inside, not outside. One second. Not outside but inside. Okay, we stick it inside, and that's going to make sure that none of the wires are just coming down. And within this, I've actually also made a cut. Why did I make a cut? Well, because when my wires eventually go down, I will need to plug this into the socket for my fairy lights to come on. So it's quite simple to do, kids. Doesn't take so long, and it's a lot of fun. In fact, while I was putting in the different fairy lights, I was reminded of those older day telephone exchange. I've actually seen it as a child where the operator was plugging in all the wires. So now I'll show you how to make that beautiful little star right on top of the tree. So let me just take 2 stickers from my sticker board, and I'm taking a toothpick, and what I'll do is I'll use the toothpick like this on one star and put the other star on it like this and it's ready. If the star is bigger, maybe you can use 2 toothpicks, and then eventually I can put it with Fevicol up on my Christmas tree. And then I can do different other stars just as I've done in my tree, which I'll show to you again. So here is my Christmas tree. Have a look at it again. A normal chart paper that we get, especially like handmade paper, you can easily make a tree which is almost 2 feet high, which is quite a nice size. If you want to make a bigger tree, of course you'll need more paper and more fairy lights. And I think just with one bunch I was able to pretty much make the entire tree just with one bunch of fairy lights. So it's really nice. In fact, in the night when it's darker, it looks even lovelier. So kids, I really hope that you enjoyed this activity and you enjoyed the stories. There are so many Christmas traditions that we still don't know about, but it's always nice to learn new stuff, isn't it? So I wish you a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. This year hasn't been the kindest of year to many people. It's been a hard year with the pandemic. So Christmas time is for sharing and caring. Let's go out there and help those who are not as fortunate as us, and have a great time. I wish to see you again soon. Please DM me, give me feedback, let me know how you liked it. So I bid you adieu. Ciao, ciao.